Pure red cell aplasia. Pure red cell aplasia. So this is characterized by anemia. Anemia will be there. There will be reticulocytopenia. Even reticulocytes, there will be a cytopenia, reticulocytopenia, and there are absent or rare erythroid precursor cells in the bone marrow. Even in the bone marrow, there are absent or there are rare erythroid precursor cells. So this pure red cell aplasia, so this is characterized by anemia, reticulocytopenia, and absent or rare erythroid precursor cells in the bone marrow. The classification of pure red cell aplasia is shown. In adults, pure red cell aplasia, it is acquired. So in the next table, so this is the classification of pure red cell aplasia. So what is the classification? So it is self-limited. Self-limited, it is seen in transient erythroblastopenia of childhood. There is a transient aplastic crisis of hemolysis, acute B19 parvovirus infection. So what happens in acute B19 parvovirus infection? So there will be a transient aplastic crisis of hemolysis. And there is a fetal red blood cell aplasia. So this occurs due to in utero B19 parvovirus infection, which causes non-immune hydrops fetalis. So this is the classification of pure red cell aplasia. One, it is self-limited. Other is fetal red blood cell aplasia. Then we have constitutional pure red cell aplasia. So it is called as congenital pure red cell aplasia. So this is Diamond-Blackfan anemia. Acquired pure red cell aplasia. So this acquired pure red cell aplasia, this occurs in myelodysplastic syndrome, that is 5q minus syndrome. And acquired pure red cell aplasia, it's also seen in cancers like thymoma or lymphoid malignancies, and this is also seen in paraneoplastic to solid tumors. And even connective tissue disorders like SLE, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and multiple endocrine gland insufficiency also, because these are the connective tissue disorders with immunological abnormalities, so they also call pure red cell aplasia. Acquired pure red cell aplasia is common with MDS 5q minus syndrome, and this is also seen with cancers like thymoma and lymphoid malignancies, and viral infections like parvovirus B19, hepatitis, adult T cell leukemia virus, and Epstein-Barr virus. So what are the viruses which cause this pure red cell aplasia? So these are parvovirus B19, hepatitis, adult T cell leukemia virus, and Epstein-Barr virus, pregnancy, and drugs. So drugs include phenytoin, azathioprine, chloramphenicol, procainamide, isoniazid. So drugs: phenytoin, azathioprine, chloramphenicol, procainamide, isoniazid, and even antibodies to erythropoietin. So they also causes pure red cell aplasia, and immune causes or idiopathic cause. So this also causes pure red cell aplasia. So this is a classification of pure red cell aplasia. So the main important things are, it's self-limited, that is transient erythroblastopenia of childhood, or there could be a constitutional pure red cell aplasia, or it could be a acquired pure red cell aplasia. And pure red cell aplasia also occurs with connective tissue disorders with immunological abnormalities, viruses, pregnancy, and drugs. So they cause pure red cell aplasia. And identical syndrome can also occur constitutionally. So this syndrome is called as Diamond-Blackfan anemia, or it's also called as congenital pure red cell aplasia. So this it's diagnosed at birth or in early childhood. So if we take this Diamond-Blackfan anemia, so this is diagnosed at birth or in early childhood, and this often responds to glucocorticoid treatment. So why this occurs? Because of mutations in the ribosome protein genes which are etiologic. So this because of the mutations in the ribosome protein genes. So this will cause constitutional Diamond-Blackfan anemia. So when does this occur? So this occurs at birth or in early childhood. And then temporary red cell failure. So this occurs in transient aplastic crisis of hemolytic anemias. So hemolytic anemias in the there will be a temporary red cell failure. So this occurs due to acute parvovirus infection. So patient has got hemolytic anemia. So there is a acute parvovirus infection. So what will happen? There will be a transient aplastic crisis. So because of this, what will happen? There will be a red cell aplasia. So this is temporary red cell aplasia. And there is also a transient erythroblastopenia of childhood. So this occurs in normal children. In normal children also, there will be a transient erythroblastopenia of childhood. So this is the classification. So constitutional pure red cell aplasia. So this occurs in Diamond-Blackfan anemia. So that's a mutation in the ribosomal protein gene. And clinical associations and etiology of pure red cell aplasia. So this pure red cell aplasia, so this has got important associations with immune system disorders. And a minority of cases also occur with the thymoma. More frequently, this pure red cell aplasia, so this can be the major manifestation of large granular lymphocytosis, or this complicates CLL. So as we have seen this in the classification, so this is associated with immune system diseases, and minority of cases also occur with thymoma. And red cell aplasia can be the major manifestation of large granular lymphocytosis, or it complicates chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Some patients, they may be hypogamma-globulinic. Some patients may be hypogamma-globulinic. Apart from pure red cell aplasia, few patients, they may also have this hypogamma-globulinemia. And if in MDS, if a ribosomal protein gene, if it is deleted in the 5q minus syndrome, so this will manifest as acquired red cell aplasia. In MDS, if there is a deletion in the myelodysplastic syndrome, if there is a ribosomal protein gene which is deleted in the 5q minus syndrome, so this myelodysplastic syndrome, it manifests as acquired red cell aplasia. Occasionally, as compared to agranulocytosis, pure red cell aplasia can also be due to idiosyncratic drug reaction. So pure red cell aplasia is there. So this can be due to an idiosyncratic drug reaction. Supposing if we give erythropoietin, okay, so this subcutaneous administration of erythropoietin, so this has provoked pure red cell aplasia by neutralizing antibodies to the hormone. Pure red cell aplasia due to antibodies to blood group antigens. Isoagglutins, it's a complication of allogenic stem cell transplant. So pure red cell aplasia, so this also occurs due to antibodies to the blood group antigens, antibodies to the blood group antigens. So this is a complication of allogenic stem cell transplant. So what happens? So this pure red cell aplasia occurs due to antibodies to erythropoietin. So this also occurs due to antibodies to the blood group antigens. And for most pure red cell aplasias, T cell inhibition, so this is probably the prevalent immune mechanism. So which is a prevalent immune mechanism? T cell inhibition, it is probably the prevalent immune mechanism. And then persistent parvovirus B19 infection. if patient has got a chronic parvovirus infection, so this it's a treatable cause. This common virus, so how does this virus present with so this common virus, so this causes benign exanthem of childhood. It is fifth disease, and this causes polyarthralgia or arthritis syndrome in adults. So if parvovirus infection, if it is causing pure red cell aplasia, so this is a treatable cause of pure red cell aplasia. So how does this infection presents with? So in children it is a benign exanthem of childhood, so it is a fifth disease, and in adults it presents as polyarthralgia or arthritis syndrome in adults. In patients with underlying hemolysis, supposing patients has got hemolysis, parvovirus infection, so this will cause a transient aplastic crisis in hemolytic patients. That is, there will be an abrupt cessation of red cell production, but it is temporary because of failed erythropoiesis. So in patients who are having hemolysis, so this parvovirus infection, so this will cause a transient aplastic crisis. Normally there will be reticulocytosis if there is hemolysis, but because of this parvovirus infection, what will happen is, so there will be a transient aplastic crisis. So this is abrupt, but it is temporary. And in normal individuals, acute infection, so patients are normal, that is, they are not having any hemolytic disorder. Acute infection, so how this acute infection is resolved by production of the neutralizing antibodies to the virus. In normal individuals, antibodies are produced to the virus, and then patient will become normal. But if patient has got congenital, acquired or iatrogenic immunodeficiency, so in these patients persistent viral infection may occur. So what happens is, the bone marrow, it will show red cell aplasia, and what will happen is, there are presence of giant pronormoblast, which is the cytopathic sign of B19 parvovirus infection. So if we do a bone marrow, what happens in bone marrow? There will be a red cell aplasia will be there, and what else will be there? There will be giant pronormoblast. So this is the cytopathic sign of B19 parvovirus infection. So how this virus affects the human erythroid progenitor cells? Because this virus uses erythrocyte P antigen. So on the erythrocyte, P antigen will be there. So this virus uses P antigen. So this is a cellular receptor for entry of the virus. And then after this, it has got a cytopathic effect on the cells, and there is a giant pronormoblast. And direct cytotoxicity of virus causes anemia if demands on erythrocyte production are high, because this virus is gaining entry through the P antigen into the erythrocyte. So because of this, what is happening? Red blood cells are destroyed, and because of this direct cytotoxicity, what will happen? The virus causes anemia if demands on the erythrocyte production are high. In normal individuals, the temporary cessation of red cell production is not clinically apparent, and skin and joint symptoms are mediated by immune complex deposition. So these are the giant pronormoblast, which is a cytopathic sign of parvovirus infection. So treatment. So if we take a history, physical examination, and if we do routine laboratory studies, so it will disclose an underlying disease, or there will be a drug exposure. So if thymoma is there, we should do a radiographic procedure, and tumor excision is indicated, and even though this thymoma is removed, anemia does not necessarily improve with surgery. And to diagnose a parvovirus infection, we have to detect the viral DNA sequences in the blood. Normally, this IgG and IgM antibodies to the virus will be absent. For the diagnosis of parvovirus infection, what we have to do? We have to do a we have to detect viral DNA sequences in the blood. And the presence of erythroid colonies, so they have been considered predictive of response to immunosuppressive therapy in idiopathic pure red cell aplasia. So we have given immunosuppressive therapy in idiopathic pure red cell aplasia. So if we see erythroid colonies, so if the presence of erythroid colonies, so this has been considered predictive of response to immunosuppressive therapy in idiopathic pure red cell aplasia. And if pure red cell aplasia is there, so this is compatible with long-term survival with supportive care alone. That is, if we give erythrocyte transfusions and if we give iron chelation, so this is the treatment of red cell aplasia, and this is compatible with long-term survival. So if persistent B19 parvovirus infection is there, so almost all patients with this persistent B19 parvovirus infection, so they respond to intravenous immunoglobulin therapy. So for persistent B19 parvovirus infection, almost all patients they respond to intravenous immunoglobulin therapy. And patients who have this acquired pure red cell aplasia, they respond to immunosuppression. So for acquired pure red cell aplasia, what we have to give? Immunosuppressive drugs. So what are the immunosuppressive drugs? Glucocorticoids, cyclosporin, ATG, azathioprine and cyclophosphamide. So these are effective. So if patients have this acquired pure red cell aplasia, they will respond to immunosuppression. So what are the immunosuppressive drugs? Glucocorticoids, cyclosporin, ATG, azathioprines and cyclophosphamide. So these are effective for acquired pure red cell aplasia. For persistent B19 parvovirus infection, they respond to intravenous immunoglobulin therapy. And this pure red cell aplasia is compatible with long-term survival. So this requires a combination of erythrocyte transfusions and iron chelation.